Hi, I'm Matt Riggle.
And I'm Daniel Jarvis.
And we are not friends.
Well, I mean, kinda.
No, I'm friends with your friends.
Fair enough. We're mutual friends.
And we started this podcast for one particular reason.
And that is?
I don't know, that's your line.
Okay, well, the thing is, we grew up in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas, and years later, we both moved to the coast.
Opposite coasts, to be exact.
I was gonna say that.
And now that we're thousands of miles away from each other, we spend each week, for some reason, discussing life stuff.
Things like the arts, politics, music, movies, video editing, internet usage.
That's probably enough.
Philosophy, philanthropy, drones.
I think we get the
life,
gist.
Life in general.
Jarvis.
Okay.
Still trying to narrow this thing down. Anyway, let's start the show.
I was going to say that.
For some weird reason, you and I have been talking about doing a podcast for probably going on 10 years.
In that time, we have recorded and then not posted a lot of audio. This time, we plan on posting that audio.
I think we said that the last time.
We've come to know each other as StepFriends. We're friends of friends. And always enjoyed each other's company, but we're never directly tied to each other as friends. We were just in the circle together.
It's almost like because we don't really know each other that well, it's almost intriguing to have conversations about things.
Right.
But we kind of each have this inkling of how the other person feels.
Yeah. Like the way we were StepFriends was we grew up in adjacent cities and in the suburban metroplexes of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Arlington and Fort Worth. And you were in the music scene, and I was a God-fearing Christian boy.
Well, no, but you had a God-fearing Christian boy musician friend who I was friends with.
That's right. You'll hear us reference Deedle a lot, and that's basically because he bridges the gap. He's sort of the centerpiece of our step friendship, and the genesis was Deedle's garage. Deedle's, I don't know, was that his 16th birthday party?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah, that was sort of the beginning of everything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that was the first real time I've spent with any of you guys.
Welcome to this place. You're standing in my old place, waiting for them to come to you.
This is like mid-90s.
Yeah, this is probably 96, maybe even 95. I actually was so lucky because I dodged, what could have been such a bland existence in my teenage years. And that was because this dude showed up to our youth group in a blue mohawk named Deedle LaCour, and he almost kind of single-handedly made the youth group cool by being there. All the various people who were wearing ripped jeans and flannels, and I think literally Deedle at one point in time was just like, "You're a grunger." We overnight we took off our flannels and put on big Jinko jeans and decided that we were super into pop punk.
Yeah, I didn't even know that all existed.
Mm-hmm. The cool kids Christian punk scene.
The
you
Christian
aware of that?
punk, was never at all on my radar. Although I don't remember in the order of events here. I think this was after, but I remember MXPX playing the first time I'd heard their record in somebody's car or something, and then I went to the show, but it was at that freaky church place, and so I left because I was so uncomfortable.
God's Place, right? So God's Place scared you so much.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it didn't scare me. It was just so weird to me. What?
Were the bikers there? Was Big Dave and C-Monkey and the bikers there?
I guess. Yeah, it was a crazy place that just felt very culty and felt to me. It wasn't even that so much. It felt so damn uncool to me. It's I wanted to go to a club, man. I'm like a 16-year-old kid because I play in a band, I can get into bars, so it's I want to go there.
But so like I was 14 or so, and Deedle's 16th birthday was coming up, and I remember like in the halls, the sidewalks of Grace Community Church, him telling me about the bands that were going to be playing there, and it was going to be like his little 3-piece punk band, Kid Tested,
The Indigints.
The Indigints played. Tanner and Matt's band at the time.
Self-serve, yeah.
Self-serve. And then he was like, oh yeah, this band, Ed Banky's Car, is going to be there. And they're a secular band, which means they're good. They listen to cool music. They have cool influences. They kind of sound like Green Day, and it's like they're an actual good band.
Can I take this time to reply, to stand back and wonder why I'm almost gone? You're still here, got a full mind. Just up here.
And I'm pretty sure that Ed Banky's Car, your band that you played in with your brother, was the headlining band of that garage show, and it felt like it too.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a fun era, of course, you know.
Who was the best musician in the band?
Especially then, before the bands started getting intertwined, you know. Everybody's kind of starting point is all they all make perfect sense, you know. You know, it's a bit of a blur, except that we have your video footage. Jarvis and Matt, come on. So you brought the camera?
Yeah, I know. That's what's amazing about it. Is like we do have a good document of it.
Please do not show this to my children.
I mean, the reason that I was bringing a camera to that garage show was that I had like blader friends. I mean, I've always like said that I skated because I sort of want to skirt the issue. And I met this dude, Jeff Langhammer. I remember that he like took all the stuff that we shot of skate videos and kind of patched them together using the camera and a VCR, and then would like insert anime in between them, and there'd just be like video static in between each edit. And I just remember going to his house and seeing that. It was just like, it set off fireworks in my head of just like, holy shit, I know how to hook up VCRs, you know, like, you know, this camera I have, it has, you know, audio video jacks out.
It's got holes in it.
It's got holes in it. I know how to stick shit in holes, obviously. So I started fucking around with just hooking up a camera to a VCR to lay down and edit. I would hook up a VCR to another VCR to then lay down an audio track. So by the time that I got to Deedle's garage thing, it was like I was pretty head deep into the idea of like, you know, shoot stuff, put stuff together, hang on to tapes, because I had met this guy.
My memory of that show, it's not exclusively your footage. What I remember is I had a similar conversation with my brother about Deedle, in the sense that my brother explained to me, like, Deedle's like actually into recording. He's not like us. We just had tape recorders and would hit record and not really know what we were doing. And he's like, he sets up mics and like points them in specific directions, you know, that kind of thing.
He points them at the thing that you're making noise with, and it sounds good.
Exactly. It was a novel concept. But so, yeah, I think it was the mixing. Anytime you mix, especially little groups like that who kind of have their own thing going on, it's not like I just bumped into you or bumped into Deedle. It was a couple of groups intersecting. We come from these different places, even though we live 20 minutes away and we grew up 20 minutes apart, but we're just dudes who are into music and going to shows, and you know, that kind of, we share a lot of influences that way. And so it felt like a natural, like, oh, this is just, each of us are expanding our group. I don't know if one of us absorbed the other group. If anything, we got absorbed because we were a smaller group of people, probably.
Tell me what success means to you. Tell me all the lies you think are true. So true. Tell me what success means to you. Tell me all the lies you think are true.
So yeah, it was exciting, and it kind of launched a whole subsequent year of shows and these other kind of DIY, rent something or just show up to a place with amps, and put on a show.
Arlington Rec Center,
yeah.
They were so cool. Awesomest band I've ever seen.
Which one was the cutest?
None of the above. Well, actually, I'd have to say the cameraman, but then maybe the drummer comes after that.
But it's really cool when you start meeting friends based on the things that you're excited about.
Right.
It's like, man, I actually want to go drive out of my way to go hang out with these people,
Yeah.
Although I didn't really get closer to Deedle till even later, but...
You and Deedle were StepFriends for a while then.
Yeah, I guess.
If I could try once again, I would. If I could lie once again, I would. But other times that I think...
It's, again, as we say, that the garage show at Deedle's was the genesis of this era, this time, this group of friends. That really was for me. I mean, I grew up very classically Christian. I like to say it's McDonald's Christianity whenever people ask what kind. Because
it's bad for you?
Yeah, but it's just that it's like, it's the only guiding principle was that, like Walmart and McDonald's are good. Gay people are bad. Like Democrats are bad. Republicans are good. And, just consume. And
what does that have to do with religion, though? Maybe I don't want to ask that question right now.
It's like the culture of just America.
Yeah.
There's no affiliation to anything other than strange dogma. In the youth group, it was real strict around like PDA, public displays of affection. There was always like a strong focus on like what girls were wearing, and if anyone was kind of interacting inappropriately.
Did the other bands, were they part of that church, or how did Deedle know them?
Here's the deal, and this isn't all-encompassing, but let me give you a layer that really ties that church to a lot of other people in the scene, is that church was directly across the street from Arlington High School. Once a month, that church had a program called the Feeding Frenzy, and they would basically cook up a bunch of hot dogs and hamburgers so kids could cross the street, go into the church, eat hot dogs and hamburgers, and receive some kind of sermon that was like...
Maybe learn about McDonald's.
Learn about McDonald's.
A little bit about McDonald's.
They would learn about McDonald's. This is what was so absurd about my church experience, is that it's just like, what are you going to do? You're going to get a bunch of like hormone-filled teens together and impress upon them your deep sexual repression and make sure that they're as uncomfortable with their sexuality as you are. It's just like, what's the plan? Whereas at least at God's Place, it was like, that place gave kids the opportunity to build confidence, to organize their own shows.
This is a little ditty I wrote back in high school about a very special place called God's Place.
Yeah, so because my taste of it, I had no expectation showing up, and when I did, it wasn't for me maybe, or I didn't understand it. But so explain like what it was, because it was a venue ultimately.
Yeah, so it was like in a super shitty part of Arlington. So if you can imagine, just suburban trash is basically what it was.
Just look for the trashed out church. That's where you'll get your money's worth.
There's a huge cross, there's a big stage, and I remember there being like an area that's like, oh, maybe that's where they did baptisms.
Look for the lady with the amber tinted shades. She looks real funny, but she's okay.
In the one sense, it's like you could definitely see that it used to be a church, but for the most part, it didn't feel like one. People were smoking cigarettes outside, and like, it was a normal it was a safe place where you could go and play your fucking music. And that's the funny thing, is like, your first experience at God's Place is that it's super cheesy. This is lame as fuck. I want to be at a real club. And mine was like, dude, this church is way cooler than my church.
We never played God's Place. We were never asked to, and we never probably would have anyway. But
because you guys were a cool secular band, obviously.
I want that on my tombstone. In order to play there, did you have to be call yourself a Christian band?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is that, like, I think that there were a bunch of bands that were like, yeah, we're a Christian band.
Sure.
You know? And even, like, you know, the guys in Tendril,
right.
They say specifically, like, you know, they have this funny, like, public access interview where they just go, like, yeah, we also think it's really important just to, like, have fun.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Okay, riffers and riffettes, we're here in the studio with Tendril. Introduce yourself and tell me what you do in the band.
My name is Dwayne. I play guitar and I sing.
I'm Dan and I play bass. I'm Tony.
And you laugh? But we were kind of thinking, man, y'all had a kind of a cross between like Wish for Eden and hardcore type deal.
All right.
Our songs like have basically no ministry message at all. We think it's important just to kind of have a good time.
That's it. We're not funny and we're not tough either.
But the first time that I went to God's Place, it was like a big, like, Saturday afternoon, 100 bands playing.
Hello, Dad!
You know, all the bands were there, and I like crowd surfed for the first time. It awakened this sense of just kind of self-ownership, you know, and taught me a little bit how to navigate the, you know, the scary outside world outside of the sterilized Grace Community Church.
Little Jarvis was growing up.
Little Jarvis was growing up. Ed Banky's Car, your band that you played in with your brother, Bobby, went on from there.
Yeah, I had just graduated high school, you know, so he was 2 years older than me, but we were still out of school now. You know what I mean? We were free. We had released like our first like 7-inch record, and we started playing shows out of town. We were in Austin every month and touring in a Chevy, like a sedan, you know, like had our drums all stacked in one another and just tiny amps and, you know, a box full of t-shirts, and we were out. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to college. My parents made me, so I was taking classes at a junior college and then going playing shows and writing songs and learning how to do that and really into it, you know.
And that first 7-inch, that had your brother Bobby's artwork on it, right? Like, like one of his comics? Yeah.
Well, it's been a long night. I stare at the sun.
He drew these amazing, like, single panel kind of Far Side style cartoons. I mean, and the 7-inch, that was just kind of our first record. We did tons of cassettes before that, like in the years before that. Starting in like 94, I think we had our first kind of cassette, and we did, as soon as we'd write like 3 or 4 songs, we would put out like a single, or, you know, we would do something just, and by put out, I mean we would high-speed dub as many as we could and then just give them to our friends, you know. But we finally got a record pressed where it was like, I think we had 300 or 500 of them made, and so it was like, here's this thing, we gotta go try to sell them or, you know, make our money back, and it was like really trying to play the game at that point, you know. But so yeah, right as that started taking off, Bobby died unexpectedly one night in his sleep.
Wow. You were about like 18 at the time? Was that right?
I was 18, just about to turn 19. I just graduated high school that summer, and then it was in November. You know, that left me in a place of, I don't know, I got nothing now.
Yeah, man, I mean, I know you don't want to get into, like, you know, sadcore or anything, but, like, it's just, when I think about your comedic sensibilities, your sense of humor, and then I look at your brother's artwork and like the jokes that he would tell there, it's just like they're so perfectly in line. So it kind of can't be overstated, like how you guys were just so two peas in a pod. It seems like from an outside looking in.
He was my older brother. He I he's my idol. You know what I'm saying? Like we were very different. We had very similar interests. Although if he was interested in something, I would try to be. So I would end up there usually. You know, he guided me that way, and he was a very unique dude. He had a ton of friends. Like he had this connection. He was just a super likable person. You know, I'm a lot more of a prickly person. You know, he was very warm. So anyway, I mean, the sense of humor, that's my entire reference to things that are funny or things that he and I found funny, you know. And I still the same things still make me laugh, and I see things that I know he would like, you know. I mean, that's always my reference point, you know.
Yeah. I found out about Bobby passing away from Deedle. You know, Deedle told me some, you know, kind of a story about like that you were, you know, maybe you had been at the mall or something and, you know, got a phone call and you found out that it was just like the most freak, nonsensical, like heart skipped a beat, you know, in a sleep situation where it just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, his death certificate says cause of death undetermined.
Wow. Which just, it's like, you know, being so close, people need reason. You need some kind of answer for why, and there is no why.
Yeah. Yeah, why as in why he died that day. But then the question of why.
Cosmically, why?
Exactly. It's the search continues.
Right.
So, you know, musically, I joined another band for a little while, but after about a year of that, I was working at a recording studio at the time, and so I began recording my own songs, just playing demos and playing my own drums and, you know, doing that thing, just trying to write songs. You know, the songwriting became a way for me to deal with what was going on. You know, it was like my diary put to music, basically.
Now I'm starting to get tired. And if it were yesterday, you'd come around and make me happy.
And I was still so inspired by like the musicians and the bands that I loved. I still really wanted to do that, even though I didn't, you know, I felt like doing it alone seemed like it wasn't. How would I even begin? How would I even begin to hire a new bass player? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, it's just the whole, it's a little too much, especially at that age and with no other experience in my life. But then it was, you know, we have another mutual friend, Joe. When I saw that guy at a bowling alley, because I had nothing to do with myself, I wasn't playing in a band anymore. And he was just like, oh, you should get with Deedle. You know, Deedle's looking to start a new band or wants to play. And Matt Pittman, and he's like, and Matt Morris is just getting back from tour from Squad 5-0, so he'll need a band, so you should touch base with those guys. So it was it was how it all happened. It's pretty cool.
I know this won't change your mind, but I'll say it anyway, 'cause I've got lots of time.
I remember Deedle, there was a kind of this moment where we'd been talking about it, we'd practiced the songs, and there was a weird time in music where it's like, things weren't necessarily online yet, but we knew it was going that way. There was like the novelty of it was like, oh, I could I'm listening to this song on my computer now. Like, check this out. You know, it was still very novel, but it seemed pretty evident like, oh, that might be a thing. But we still thought in terms of records. And Deedle and I remember being at my work and calling him, you know, before cell phones. I just remember being on this landline in the basement of a city hall building. We were thinking about what we were going to do. Should we record a couple of songs, do a demo? And we both kind of at the same time had this thought in this conversation. And just said, I just want to do an album. with the booklet and with the lyrics and with like, here it is, kind of a declaration. And
a real thing.
Yeah, it felt like we had 12 songs and it's like there's an album's worth of stuff. Let's just work on that. And so that's what we did. That band, 41 Gorgeous Blocks, we put out like 8 records or something like that over like a 10-year period of like actively, or I guess we started in 99, started playing until our final record was 2010.
I never thought I'd see this day, and that was exactly my mistake.
And all the records have Bobby's artwork, which is awesome.
Life was a train wreck, you got me through it, heads were spinning all the way.
That, what's so crazy about that is like just how you remember things from your childhood, because for me 41 Gorgeous Blocks was like the band that came later, and so for the band that came later to have started in 99 is crazy to me, because it'll always sort of be like the new band, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. It still feels like that to me.
Yeah.
Not much longer now, I can hear you just beyond the sound.
Deedle owned a recording studio, so we would record in his garage, and it would be, tons of late nights. You were there for a lot of them, just hanging out. A lot of times it wasn't about the music. It's not like we were in there going, what should we do here? Like, we were very simple songs.
It's just stay in the room.
Actually, no, 11 o'clock is Happy Days. I don't remember. 11:30 is Laverne and Shirley. Noon was Andy Griffin.
When did The Price is Right fit into the scheme?
Oh, that's what was from 10 to 11.
Yeah.
That's what was 10 to 11. 10 to 11's Price is Right. 11 was The Young and the Restless on Channel 4 after The Price is Right.
You're freaking me out. The opening music of soap operas scared me when I was a kid.
Me too.
Yeah, they're creepy. They're so adult.
And it's like right after like cartoons.
Occasionally we get really excited about a song and put all this shit in there and do all these backing vocals and feel elated, only to come back the next day and probably change it all.
Wasted time, you're gonna face it on down the line. It's unintentional but design, an urgent waste of time.
It was just that freedom of, creating records for the first time, and and Deedle being super interested and good at the production part of it. It wasn't just this haphazard thing. He was very meticulous, and so he was able to like make it seem like we were really making an album.
Yeah.
But we'll hit a turning point along the way. We'll be finally happy, be smiling constantly, each in our own way.
But these led to us being, led to just night after night of just long conversations and just the shared experience of being in a band.
I don't know much, but I know I love you. That may be all I need to know.
I moved out of Texas in 2012 and started a new band called This Kills Me.
But now, no matter how much you got in the way, you're unreachable.
But 41 Gorgeous Blocks, we technically never, quote, broke up. We actually are working on new songs at the moment. So we might...
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm crumbling down, can't find my place. I cried for the world to give me space. Now I look back.
All right, Matt, I'd say that puts a bow on it. We had a good time there. Listening to the old tapes, the old videos, the old bands.
Yeah, that was fun. I think we mentioned everybody, but the music you heard was from the bands Kid Tested, which is Deedle's old band, also the Indigints, Self-Serve, and Tendril. Ed Banky's car, and then 41 Gorgeous Blocks stuff. But yeah, and then we rolled in a couple of those videos, the old videos that you edited. What were those?
The main video we pulled from is called Punk Rock Video. You could find that on Facebook if you just search Deedle Punk Rock Video.
Shouldn't we like link to that stuff?
Oh yeah, we'll put a link to that.
Aren't we like professional that way?
We'll put a link to that in the show notes. There is also like the in-studio video, which you used to be able to get on an enhanced CD.
Oh, the enhanced CD.
Remember enhanced CDs? You could put them inside your computer, and whoa, there's a QuickTime waiting there for you.
Yeah, it was like a menu. It was basically like a website. You would put it in your computer, and it would come up HTML, like an HTML, like in your web browser.
Oh, yeah.
Darren Paul. I think Darren designed it.
Darren probably made that.
And I remember James actually helped us burn the master CD that we were sending to get pressed, because we weren't sure. We thought we were going to do all this work, and then the master CD was not going to have the enhanced stuff on it, so we had to have James come over and assure us that no, whatever you put on that CD is going to be replicated, so, and it worked. We were nervous until it came back, but yes.
I have to say, I probably should have, I guess I couldn't have reacted to this real time, but like it always sticks out to me that I love the way your vocals sound in the first Ed Banky's Car 7-inch, because you're like, well, it's been a long time.
Oh, no, wait, that's my brother. That song.
That's your brother.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Bobby. Yeah.
But then there's like a little harmony part that's like, son.
That's me. Yeah. That would be my part. Yeah, we I can't remember. I think it was one of these things because I sang most of the songs, but then he started writing. He wrote like in that time. I think he had like 5 songs of his that we played, and it was always everybody's favorite songs.
Okay, yeah.
But he was very shy that way. He didn't like to sing very much, so he kind of did the like punk rock gravel thing a lot. But he was like, just use your little choir boy voice and sing harmonies over me, and it'll equal something fine.
Oh my
that's
God,
what he used to say. So.
Well, I stare at the sun.
So yeah, that was an episode. How do you feel? What are we gonna do next?
I feel great. We always said that the idea for this podcast is hopefully to be able to bring friends together from all over the country. We're across coasts, but we have friends scattered still in San Francisco, Texas, all over the place. There are specific voices that we are really hoping to hear from. So if you liked what you're listening to, if you know us, if you're friends with us, we probably want to talk to you.
Yeah. So email us, right? We got an email. What's that email?
Send us an email at stepfriendspod@gmail.com.
There it is. All right, cool. Well,
just another show note. If we didn't name you in the stories, it's not because we don't love you. We're just not that good at being broadcasters.
If you weren't mentioned, it means you weren't a transformative figure in our lives.
Right. Do better.
But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Well, it's been a long night. I stare at the sun.